spitting on somebody is far more egregious than throwing popcorn, while popcorn is still 1,000% unacceptable. What in the world? What happened to decorum?
No idea,
what happened to civility? I'm watching the game, and you know what? First of all, the chants are ridiculous. You know, the bleep you. I mean, come on, Knicks. I understand the Knicks have been bad for a hot minute. You know, the end of the Carmelo Anthony era was painful. Porzingis getting hurt. Phil Jackson sleepwalking on the job. Derek Fisher, Jeff Hornacek. I mean, it's been failed draft picks. It's been misery, right? So you finally have a team you can be proud of, and then what do? All right, the first night, you hurl expletives at Trae Young. All right, okay, all right. And you do it again last night. Then somebody has the audacity to spit at him. I've got a new rule, which I want to propose in a moment.
Go ahead.
I will. I understand that we've all been locked up and holed up in our homes, and we've got to refamiliarize ourselves with the rules of interaction, of humanity. But the rule is now this, and I believe that every fan with an ounce of sensibility would co-sign this. The next time somebody either throws an object on a fan or spits on a player or or hurls a racially insensitive insult at somebody, here's the new rule. That player gets 30 seconds. That player gets 30 seconds in the tunnel with the perpetrator. Because I don't care, even if you're 7, 8, 9 beers deep. Again, we've all been holed up, withdrawn from society, wearing pajamas on Zoom sessions, not functioning like the human race. I mean, everything's been on pause. I get that. Even the most benign exchanges at the grocery market, when you first started going back there, kind of felt weird. And like, can I get close? Can I really talk? Should I keep moving? What's going on? So you get into a building, and there's 15,000 people hopped up on booze, hopped up on real energy to have a team, and some dope spits, not even popcorn, spits on Trae Young's back.
Yeah.
Listen, this is an embarrassment. This really is disgusting, and I'm laughing when I said that. I'll give him 30 seconds in the tunnel.
Yeah,
30 seconds in the tunnel. That would dissuade any knucklehead from doing that.
It's interesting because Russell Westbrook, who had popcorn poured on him, and the circumstances matter. He was it was a loose ball. He was trying to set off a fast break. He got caught up. He turned the ball over, twisted his ankle. He was in an already mad state because he knew that he'd hurt himself. And I don't know how the NBA does this other than hand down extraordinarily punitive measures to these perpetrators, whether it's the guy who poured the popcorn or the guy who spit. Never go into an NBA game again. I don't care how much you're worth, how much you paid for your season tickets. Mm-hmm. If you cross that line, you're barred forever. And make public examples of these guys. Otherwise, it's never going to stop. And it's going to guys feel empowered because they feel like they're part of of what's happening on the court, as opposed to being observers of what's happening on the court. That's the issue. That's elite fandom. That's high intensity fandom, and I respect that to an extent.
Yes.
But you are not part of what's happening on the field or the court. You are not entitled to have some sort of physical interaction with the guys who are out there performing. And so you said it well, BT. I agree with you. It's disgusting. Decorum is gone for a lot of these people who are inebriated and uninhibited and doing things that reveal the grossest part. I mean, literally in this case, grossest part of their psyches and their beings.
Yeah.
And is your mom proud of you for doing that? That's all you got to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I flash back to, because when I go to games, first of all, when I'm at the Garden, I'm usually working because I'm doing Big East games. When with the last year and a half, nobody's gone. Now I have kids, and now it's different. When I go to the game, it's just a totally different experience. I'm not having 7 beers like I may have gone in the World Series with the Yankees in the late '90s, which I was at all those games for sure. So it's a different experience, and I'm just more mature. But even at like my worst moment, like I'm trying to understand how certain people are wired. This is what I don't get. Like, when the Yankees won the World Series in '96, I just graduated college. I've told this, not this story, but how I've been. You know that I was at that game, right?
Yep.
And I got there like 2 in the afternoon. The game was like 8:30. I got there at 8:18 first pitch. I get there at like 2:30. Go to stands. Listen, I'm having a great time. I'm lubed up nice, right? I look back in hindsight at a young 22-year-old me. And, was I a little loud with maybe if somebody struck out, did I drop a curse? Not at the player, but like to my friends. Yes, I'm sure. But I don't understand, and I'm not even saying that that's acceptable. I don't understand how are you wired in a way that you take it so seriously, and this is coming from a serious fan, me, that you actually gather fluids in your mouth and hurl them at somebody
because
spit on somebody.
He wants attention.
No, it's beyond that. It's beyond that. It's not about wanting. No, it's not about wanting attention. To me,
then what's the reasoning?
An ultimate lack of civility and compassion and respect and humanity.
But whoever that is, that can't be true for them in their everyday life. It honestly, it can't be. So the only thing that you can draw is that in that moment, he was trying to be a part of the narrative, be a part of the story. And whoever this was put himself in that story.
So you think it was somebody doing that on purpose to get on social media to...
No, not premeditated. So here's the thing.
What, to distract Trae Young? And become an asset for the Knicks?
No, I don't know, honestly,
I'll tell you what the intent...
Because I don't think it was premeditated. Like, I can't sit here and say... This guy walked from wherever he walked from when he was coming to the Knicks game and said, you know what? I'm going to, when this gets tight, I hate Trae Young. He daggered us in game one. Uh-huh. I'm going to spit on him when I get the opportunity. I don't think it was premeditated.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
I think in the moment, he wanted to be a part of the story and grab Trae Young's attention. And that's the problem, is that, cheering and yelling and screaming and doing whatever it is you do at a game is okay. But when you start trying to actually interact in the game, that's the problem. Right, this happened. Who was this? I forget who it was. A couple of years ago, I think it was also.
It happened with Russell Westbrook a few times.
No,
with the little boy's dad, courtside. Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe. No, this was someone who was a couple of rows back, and it was like a conversation back and forth between one of the players. It might have been Westbrook again.
I know Rondo's. I think maybe Rondo's brother was saying things toward Westbrook. There was some family dynamic. I don't know if that's what you're referencing.
That was that one, but there was a fan that was interacting with one of the players on the court, like having a full-on conversation back and forth, like it mattered. You know what I mean? Like he was making a big difference in what was going on the court with whoever this player was playing with, and that fan felt like, look, I got in his head, like I messed him up. No, you didn't. You know what I mean? I mean, you might think you're Spike Lee, and that one of these players, Trae Young, like the other day, is going to interact with you and become, I don't know, engaged and disruptive of what you're doing. But that rarely works. These are elite athletes, man, who have been doing it for years, and the last thing they're worried about is the musings of some fan. Now, if you're going to physically assault them in a sense, even though it's not really an assault, it's not a dangerous assault, but it is. Assault them by throwing fluids on them or spitting fluids on them or dumping popcorn on them.
I think that might be a misdemeanor, by the way.
I think you're right. It's a different interaction
for sure
that fans shouldn't be entitled to. But they feel like they
get
are.
Their ass beaten for it.
But nobody is. But nobody does. But there's no consequence.
Well, but here's the thing.
They get attention. They get talked about. Oh, did you see what I did? That was me, man.
Yeah, well,
that was good. That was cool.
If they celebrate that way, then that tells you all you need to know.
Then why do it?
I can't answer that because there are so many different psychological elements here. This is going to sound weird or not weird, almost irresponsible, but I just implore you to roll with me and don't judge my first statement because it's going to sound truly reckless, and I obviously don't mean it to come out that way, just to prove a point. I have more respect for somebody that has a few too many drinks. Talk about making mistakes in life, right? Has a few too many mistakes in life, gets behind the wheel, and gets pulled over. Obviously, pray nobody gets hurt, and gets a DWI, maybe goes to jail, loses the license, revoked, whatever it might be. Then somebody who, in the heat of the moment, spits on a player. Because to me, if you have a couple of too many drinks, that's not necessarily a character flaw. That is a momentary lapse in judgment. Whereas if in your mind, if you feel as if you have the latitude, I don't care how drunk you are, to spit on somebody, I would think that there are other things in your life that are not lining up properly. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a one-off. You know what I mean? You could be a great person, a humanitarian, charitable endeavors, a great person, and you have 2 bottles of wine, you're celebrating somebody's promotion. For some reason, you get behind the wheel, you get a DWI. Wow, biggest mistake in my life, will never happen again.
Yeah.
But that's so different and so far removed from believing that you've got a license to do what those 2 clowns did last night.
Yeah, well, it's a small. Fortunately, it's a small minority
Well-
that behave this way. That go across the line.
Is it though? And here's the thing too: these people think they're not going to get caught. Remember when Charles Oakley got arrested, however you want to frame it, at the Garden? Remember that a couple of years back, Oakley at the Garden? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it on our air, obviously. Madison Square Garden, true story. MSG sent me private internal video, their internal feed to my email account so I can look at it because they wanted me to see everything that transpired. Now, I say that because there is nothing that you can do at a venue that will go undetected. It might take an extra day, but you will absolutely get punished. And here's the other thing. If we can't comport ourselves like human beings, if we have regressed to caveman mentality and we have devolved into something less than human, here's the next step. If you want to act like an animal, they're going to put cages up around the fields. And I know that sounds outlandish. That's the next step. The next step is, because now, and the players are right, everybody's speaking out, and if God forbid something happens worse, you're going to have to protect these players. And Teak, I don't think that we're that many years away from a plexiglass partition being around every NBA court. I'm sincere.
I hope not.
Oh, I hope not too, but I think it's very possible.
I could see that happening, but I hope it doesn't happen. I really don't.
Me too. Disaster. Come on, man. How were you raised that you do that? Give me a break. All right.